On your side. This is News 12, NBC 26 at 11.
Good evening. You probably heard the Camp Lejeune commercials by now. Victims who lived or worked at least 30 days at the camp could be eligible for compensation.
After decades of back and forth with the government over hidden details about toxic water on base, President Biden signed the Camp Lejeune Justice Act. So now victims who lived or worked for at least 30 days at Camp Lejeune or who were exposed in utero between 1953 and 1987 can take legal action against the U.S. government.
As Taylor Martin reports, some veterans showed up to a forum tonight at the Elks Lodge to learn more about their rights.
Jarian Sminger lost his daughter Janie to leukemia when she was just 9 years old. During her last moments, he could have never imagined what caused her diagnosis.
And Janie looked at her and said, "Yeah, I know. My daddy's hurting too."
His daughter had been conceived at Camp Lejeune in North Carolina and exposed to contaminated water that later led to her illness. How did he find out? A new story, years after his daughter had passed and after he had retired.
But they wanted to do these follow-up studies on the children that had been born, carried, or conceived on the base for birth defects and childhood cancers, primarily leukemia. When they said that, I dropped my plate of spaghetti on the living room floor.
Mike Partain was born at Camp Lejeune, and until he was diagnosed with male breast cancer at the age of 39, Camp Lejeune was nothing but a location on his birth certificate.
They said the chance of me generating male breast cancer on my own in the general population was 0.05%. It's kind of like, what contest in hell did I win to get this?
Now, both men are traveling the country helping people affected by this tragedy get justice. Consumer advocate Erin Brockovich has joined forces with them, and she tells me town hall meetings like the one today in Augusta provide answers for people.
And I think everybody in America, frankly, should be upset that we hear that kind of information from these men and women. And you harmed their children and took their lives.
The three of them will be traveling across the state of Georgia for the next 2 days, informing those who have been affected how they can take action. Reporting in Augusta, Taylor Martin, on your side.
If you think you may have been poisoned by the contaminated water at Camp Lejeune and want answers, you can reach out to Camp Lejeune Legal at www.tfpttf.com. And again, this is if you lived or worked for Camp Lejeune at least 30 days or were exposed in utero between 1953 and 1987.
Taylor, thanks for the live update there. To weather now as we check in with First Alert Chief Meteorologist.
On your sideline, sports brought to you by the Hawk Law Group.
After a season filled with success from their opening kickoff tonight, the Swainsboro Tigers found themselves in the Class 1A Division I state championship game with a chance to finish their season undefeated. Let's take a live look here right now. We are in the fourth quarter. Swainsboro just scored a few minutes ago, giving them a 3-point lead. It's 34-31 at the moment, but Prince is driving, and we're going to get to those first half highlights to give you an idea, because this game has been crazy to say the least. The team standing in their way of perfection is the Prince Avenue Christian Wolverines, and in the first quarter, this was a high-scoring affair from the jump. Swainsboro's Ty Adams, he's looking downfield. He sees an opening, so he takes it, and no one is going to catch this man. He is on fire. The Tigers were up early after that score. Now, Swainsboro started this essay, and Prince had the answer before they could finish their intro. Aaron Philo sends a bullet to Bailey Stockton, and he takes it all the way for the answer. Both these offenses were on fire early on. Swainsboro has leaned on their running game all year long, and Ty Adams is one of the reasons why. Here he goes again with another long touchdown. The Tigers had a 3-point lead at the half. This game is still in action as we just showed you. So here's a look at the current score. I'll have an update for you later on in the show. Now, it's been a really busy week over in Thompson as the Bulldogs are getting ready to play in the Class 2A state championship game. Earlier today, Thompson's fans of all ages gathered outside their high school for a pep rally and to celebrate their team hitting the road for Atlanta. It's been 20 years since Thompson last brought home the hardware, and throughout the season, head coach Michael Youngblood has been inviting members of Thompson's 1984, 1985, and 2002 championship teams to speak to his players about the importance importance of making the most of every time they step on the gridiron.
Our seniors have an opportunity to go out on a high note, and they understand the importance of everything. And it's time for us to get back to Thompson football and putting our name on the big stage. And the biggest thing about this game is you get a chance to etch your name in stone.
Thompson will play Fitzgerald for the Class 2A state championship tomorrow at noon in Atlanta.
All right, more sports later on, but we do want to mention, Dan, thank you, because Thompson is playing the state championship game tomorrow. McDuffie County Schools are having Learn from Home Day. If you want to head to the championship game over Atlanta, those tickets are $20. They're available through gofan.co, not com, but .co. Parking on Hank Aaron Drive in Atlanta, $25. The stadium does have a clear bag policy. Thompson fans should enter through gate 8, and good luck tomorrow, Thompson.
The COVID pandemic finally feels like it's in the rearview mirror for so many of us, but for one woman, long COVID is something she will likely have to deal with for the rest of her life. Michelle Noble has been in and out of the hospital for more than a year now, fighting for her life. She's still dealing with complications. A year ago, while on FaceTime with her husband, Michelle went into cardiac arrest, and she woke up 5 weeks later with shortness of breath, brain fog, dizziness, and more.
My pulmonologist told me that I have the lungs of a smoker now. They're destroyed. All due to COVID. I was not like that before. But because of COVID, my lungs will never be the same.
Dr. Stephen Hsu says the United States could soon face the next health crisis with long COVID, and he wants to improve a saline spray they're researching at AU to combat symptoms like brain fog to give people like Michelle their life back. Brittany Griner is on her way home.
Meanwhile, the Keystone Pipeline system shut down tonight after a leak was discovered near the border of Kansas and Nebraska. This pipeline is 2,700 miles long, a system that delivers Canadian and U.S. oil to major refineries all across America. After the pipeline shut down, U.S. oil prices climbed about 4% higher to nearly $75 a barrel this morning. No timetable has been given yet for restarting that pipeline.
The iHeart Radiothon kicked off today, and those volunteers are raising money to help kids get treatment and get the care they need at the Children's Hospital of Georgia right here in Augusta. You can call that number on your screen for someone available to take your donation, or you can text CHOG to 5155. You can also donate online at caresforkidsradiothon.com. All that money stays right here. There are more ways to help this holiday season than just donating money or toys. We're hosting a blood drive next week. That'll be Monday, December 12th. You are able to walk in, but we do expect a lot of people, so we advise you to make an appointment. You can do that online. You can call to schedule one during business hours if that's easier for you. Just make sure you have your ID, and you'll be able to give blood.
Well, temperatures tomorrow are going to be about 15 degrees cooler than what they were this afternoon. We're also tracking that chance for rain. Update on the forecast just after the break.
Sometimes it takes more than a day to get to the truth,
The I-Team spent weeks combing through the case.
to uncover what others want to keep hidden.
Are children suffering because of this?
Yes, they are.
True investigative reporting takes time and resources.
For more than a decade now, we've been asking questions.
The News 12 I-Team, getting results, making a difference.
It actually took a news reporter to get them here.
Thank you for trusting us with your stories. News 12, on your side.
And happy holidays from Gerald Jones Volkswagen.
We are learning about a death at Battle Lumber in Jefferson County. We don't know all the details right now, but we do know the victim's last name, and it's Lewis. This happened Wednesday, and it appears to have been an accident, but the body will be taken to the GBI lab for a closer look.
Former Bamberg councilman Trent Kennard pled guilty to assault and battery charges against his now ex-wife. He was sentenced to 10 years in prison, which was suspended down to 42 months house arrest, followed by 18 months probation. But he will receive time for house arrest he already served. Kennard also had all of his sex charges dropped from a 2020 case where he was charged for sexual conduct with a minor.
Let's head outside now.
As the crackdown on TikTok by state governments grows, the FCC commissioner is calling for an outright ban on the app in the U.S.
South Carolina, just the latest state to make a move to keep the app off state employees' phones. Ivan Rodriguez has the latest on this national threat.
Trouble is expanding for TikTok in the United States, with Texas and Maryland joining South Dakota, South Carolina, and Nebraska in prohibiting the use of the app on government-issued devices. Indiana's Attorney General has now filed 2 lawsuits against the social media giant for allegedly exposing minors to mature content and deceiving users about China's access to their data.
The Biden administration is focused on challenge of certain countries, including China, seeking to leverage digital technologies and America's data in ways that present unacceptable national security risks.
The U.S. Committee on Foreign Investment has been in negotiations with China, trying to resolve concerns that Chinese government authorities could seek to gain access to the data TikTok holds on U.S. citizens.
The problem is with China, there's no distinction between the government and the private sector. Everybody works for the government one way or another.
FCC Commissioner Brendan Carr says the U.S. government should ban TikTok over national security concerns. Some lawmakers are sharing those sentiments.
The Chinese are really into stealing data and collecting data. And this is one huge way to do that. And they're going to have every keystroke, everything you enter, every comment. I think it is very dangerous.
And just this past week, Governor McMaster said protecting officials from foreign and domestic threats is key to keeping residents healthy and safe. He says federal authorities and national security officials have warned the social media app that it does pose a threat. Well, now a Georgia senator wants to ban TikTok on government devices. Jason Averante, who represents District 31, says a national security threat has no place in Georgia, but we just saw Georgia would be far from the first state government to ban TikTok from state-issued devices.
A nonprofit in Greenville, South Carolina is holding an online auction for 2 sets of 4 tickets to the Taylor Swift Eras Tour. Project Hope Foundation responds to the need of children with autism. Each package auctioned off includes a set of 4 club-level tickets at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. Those proceeds will go directly to the Project Hope Foundation. Now that is a great cause.
There's the deal. Saturday, the James Brown Toy Giveaway is doing their final in-person registration at May Park on 4th Street from 9 till 11 in the morning. This is video from previous giveaways there. You can see plenty of families do benefit from this annual event by the James Brown Family Foundation. To register, you must bring your ID as well as Social Security cards, birth certificates for all ages 1 to 10.
If you and the family are looking for something fun to do this weekend, the Augusta Christmas Parade, that's Saturday. This is video from previous years. It starts at 6 o'clock. It'll be on Broad Street between blocks 13 and 7. It's free. It's open for everyone. And we hear that the big man himself is going to make an appearance.
So it'll be a night parade, 6 p.m.
That's right.
Sounds good. A football coach in Florida was shot 10 times trying to protect his young players, while his heroic effort was not enough to save a life.
Yeah.
On your sideline, sports brought to you by the Hawk Law Group.
Let's check back in with Swainsboro competing in the Class 1A Division I state championship game. Prince Avenue Christian scored 3 touchdowns in less than 5 minutes of game time late in the 4th quarter. And Swainsboro's perfect season is about to come to an end, which will most likely be a heartbreaking loss. They had such a great season. That is their first loss of the season. And there's not too many times. There's a handful of seconds left in the game, and I believe Prince Avenue is about to clinch this one over here. And it looks like they're celebrating now, so this is probably not good news for Swainsboro. But sadly, Swainsboro is going to end up losing this game right here, losing their first game of the season in the state championship. Now, this evening, the Augusta Sports Council has announced the winner of the annual Ray Guy Award. The council decided Melbourne, Australia native Adam Korsak of Rutgers is the best punter in the nation this year. Korsak averaged 44 yards per punt on 75 attempts this season, and this award has some added meaning to it this year, especially for people here in this area after Ray Guy, the Thompson High School football alum and legendary NFL punter, passed away in early November. Another member of the Georgia Bulldogs is adding a trophy to his collection. All-World tight end Brock Bowers is this year's recipient of the John Mackey Award. This means Bowers was voted the most outstanding tight end in the country. The sophomore is one of the most dominant players in college football, and he's found the end zone 9 times so far this season. Bowers has a bright future ahead of him, and it's only a matter of time before he starts playing on Sundays.
Police in Jacksonville, Florida, are looking into a case of a deadly shooting. They're looking for the person who shot and killed a 13-year-old during a drive-by shooting.
The teenager was killed moments after leaving a football tryout. 4 other people in that same car when shots rang out. Here's Marilyn Parker with the story.
The clock is ticking. Someone is responsible for a drive-by shooting that killed 13-year-old Prince Holland.
These crimes have to be solved within the first several hours or the first day or so.
Criminal attorney Lee Lockett says every day that passes without information, the community grows sadder and sometimes quieter. JSO is going to turn to who can speak up. We learned the 21-year-old driver was shot 10 times while shielding the 4 children in his SUV. We aren't naming the driver because no one's been arrested. The driver's attorney says he told police he doesn't know who did the shooting. Why do you think this driver has an attorney?
Perhaps out of convenience or just in the abundance of caution. That might be one reason. Another reason might be that there might be a feeling that, he is the driver, he's the only adult in the car. So anything that happens to children that he might be responsible for.
Detectives will ask the other kids in the SUV what they saw. JSO will likely revisit the scene, collecting physical evidence and surveillance. They can also put shell casings through a database to see if the gun was used in other crimes.
They're going to need to work with prosecutors to come up with enough evidence to charge the shooter. And if they don't have enough evidence, they might not be able to make an arrest.
Someone knows something. We can only hope for Holland and the community's sake that they speak up.
The gunfire also injured an 11-year-old boy. A 14 and 15-year-old in the car were not hurt.
Family, friends, and community members have gathered for a candlelight vigil honoring the life of 13-year-old Prince Holland. We're back with more after the break.